if you're a marketer and you want to improve your influencer marketing campaigns, you want to get better ROAS, you want to have lower CAC, and you're tired of paying all the influencers flat fees, well, I'm going to walk through some gaps that are currently happening in a bunch of influencer strategies. This will allow you to capitalize on this because these are big opportunities of arbitrage. Now, they won't last long, so you need to pay attention and go ahead and take action now. I'm Dennis. I'm a partnerships manager at Influencer Advisory, and here we've helped brands use data to improve their influencer campaigns. So diving into it, the first thing you want to look at is two questions when it comes time to doing an influencer campaign. One is, hey, why would I, as a viewer, care about the flavor? You have to answer that with the influencer. And the second one is, what is the logistics around ordering, finding it, etc. So make sure that that's kind of the TLDR of how you would be using influencers. And a lot of companies don't actually do that, which is where the huge gap is. So let's have a look at one of the things that you should be doing with creators. Now, some of you are, some of you aren't, maybe some of you are doing some, but you need to do all of them. One is you have to explain and validate the flavor. This is very easy to do because you just tell the influencers to give an explanation of why they like what they do and how they went about trying it. Then you have to demonstrate the logical sequence. So where do they go? What do they click? What do they get? What are they expecting? What's the next steps? Then you have to personalize the occasion. And what's better is you can also use localized campaigns with Instagram and tagging specific locations, specific stores in certain areas. If I want to target people in North Dakota to go to my North Dakota retail store, you need to make sure that you find the right creators for that. Typically, micro creators on Instagram are the right pick. And then you have to be amplifying the right creative. Now, if we actually look at some examples of what are some lessons from companies who are doing things, one is the Olipop creator community. This is an impact community. It's actually, funny enough, bringing in a lot of percentage points from the total base of creator-driven sales. So this is actually great because it's compounding. Now, the problem that most companies have here is they treat their ambassadors like just a one-time thing. You have to keep nurturing them through a community. That's something that does take a lot of resources, but the payoff is worth it because they keep posting at no cost. A school.com community is actually really good for this, and we could help you set this up, or there's a bunch of tutorials that'll let you teach you how to do it in and out. The Duncan and Charlie D'Amelio case study. The lesson to learn here is the fact that they actually were able to track the success in retail locations because they were not online by looking at app downloads, which corresponded with retail locations. So having a measure like that in place is really good because just counting store sales could really be affected by a bunch of other marketing efforts if you're simultaneously running an influencer campaign. So Liquid 6 also did a geo lift test. Now, this is great because you don't just want to have a UTM link. You want to have a UTM link tracked to the region, or you want to have some pixel tracking on the page to understand what percentage of people are coming from different regions. There's a bunch of tagging websites that actually let you look at the IP and then look at the region it's from. So that way you can actually see, hey, 6 people came from North Dakota, 4 from Mississippi, 3 from Arizona. I want to target Arizona. We need more people, more influencers that target Arizona, right? Last one isn't that useful, but here's a little recommended pilot that is unlike what most people are doing. This is specifically for the Canadian market, but it works just as well for the US one. It'd be recruiting a bunch of Canadian creators across a bunch of different verticals. And then what you would have is emphasize their actual authentic experience. Very typical for creative, but that's kind of the starting point. It's very open-ended to start with. Once you've done that test, then you could dive into a much bigger test. What we would always do is try and find creators and get their analytics on a city by city basis. Just because a creator lives in Toronto doesn't mean their audience is from Toronto. We once were running a campaign for Harrison Healthcare. We found that, hey, like some creators in Toronto only had 10% of their audience watching in Toronto, and the rest like were just all over the world. In which case, wouldn't be that good for a localized campaign, especially if you're trying to attract the attention of certain stores in certain regions. So some good rules of thumb to understand, should I scale or should I not? And basically this will help you make a decision of, should you go ahead and emphasize your product story? Should you do a trial? Should you focus on operations, creative value, creative quality? So you scale each of these if this statement is met, and you don't scale if this statement is met. So it's pretty obvious. I'll just have this linked in the description so you can go ahead and check it out yourself. So I hope this video helped you understand where some gaps are. We're going to be coming up with many more videos like this, diving into different segments of the market. So like if you want to see more.